Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will explain the life of Anne Frank. So, let's start. Continents. Anne's early life, what was found in her diary, her life in the secret annex, her life in labor camp, and her Aunt Margot's death, and the publishing of her diary. Anne's early life. Anne Frank was born in the German city of Frankfurt in Am Main in 1929. Anne's sister Margot was her 3 years older than her. Unemployment was high and severe in Germany, and it was the period in which Adolf Hitler and his party were gaining more and more support, which was during the time of the Second World War. Hitler hated the Jews and blamed them for the problems in their country. He took advantage of the rampant and the anti-Semitic sentiments in Germany. The hatred of the Jews and the poor economic situation made Anne's parents, Otto Frank and Edith Frank, decide to move to Amsterdam. There, Otto Frank founded a company that traded in pectin, a gelling agent for making jam. Otto Frank was Anne Frank's father. He did not participate in the Second World War on Germany's side, but he did participate in the First World War on Germany's side. Before long, Anne felt right at home in Netherlands. She learned the language, made new friends, and went to Dutch school near her home. Her father worked hard to get his business off the ground, but it was not easy. Otto also tried to set up a company in England, but the plan fell through. Things looked up when he started selling herbs and spices in addition to pectin. What we found in her diary. What happens when Anne Frank has filled up the diary that she had been given? Anne Frank took the diary with her when she went into hiding. It was one of the first items that she packed. The last diary entry is named 5th December 1942. By then, she had been hiding in the secret annex for 5 months. The diary was not completely filled. There were still several empty pages. Anne added some text at later days. For instance, on 2nd May 1943 and on 22nd January 1944, Anne apparently considered the diary to be full and continued to write in the notebooks. She would receive these notebooks from her sister Margot and the helpers. The 1943 notebooks have not survived. The two notebooks from 1944 have. One covers the period from 22 December 1943 till 17 April 1944 and the other from 18 April 1944 to 1st August 1944. After learning of the plans to collect diaries and other papers to chronicle people's wartime experiences, Anne began to rework her journal for possible publication as a novel entitled Het Archerhuis, which meant the secret annex. She notably created pseudonyms for all inhabitants, eventually adopting Aunt Robin as her alias. Prepper, whom Anne had come to dislike as the two often argued over the use of des, was named Albert Dussel, the surname of which in German for idiot. What we found in her diary? When reading about the diary of Anne Frank, most people assume that a single diary is all there is. But in reality, Anne's work comprises much more. On 12th June 1942, Anne was given a diary for her 13th birthday. This was something she really wanted. Her parents let her to pick one out herself in a bookshop. On her birthday, Anne only wrote that she hoped she would be able to entrust everything to her diary and that it would be a great support. The actual writing started 2 days after her birthday on 14th June 1942. Anne wrote in Dutch. On occasion, she used German or English words and addresses her diary letters to Kitty. But people wonder, who was Kitty? Kitty was a fictional character and eventually addressed as all her diary entries to. The name Kitty came from a series of books that Anne had read by Dutch author Kissy van Maxfield. These books were about Juke, a girl who had all kinds of adventures with her group of friends. Kitty Franklin was one of the characters from that group and preferred to write to her. Kitty character from the Kissy Maxfield books was bright, cheerful and funny. So Kitty became the imaginary friend Anne confided in. So does Anne only wrote in her diary? Well, no. Anne wrote much more. Tales. Anne wrote 34 tales about her school days, things that happened in the secret annex, or fairy tales that she invented herself. The Book of Beautiful Sentences. These were not her own text, but texts and passages that she copied from books she read in the hiding place. Her father inspired her to do so. Carrie's Life. This is the title of the novel Anne attempted to write. She quit after a few chapters. Hot Archives, the secret annex, as we have already discovered before and talked about it in this video. This was the title Anne had in the mind for a book about her time in the secret annex. She used the text of her diary as a basis. We therefore have two versions of the same diary in the letters, Anne's original diary and her rewritten version. We also have another diary. I'm sorry to say diary, but we also have another book by Anne Frank, which is Tales from the Secret Annex. Life in the Secret Annex. Margot Frank received a letter ordering her to report to work camp in Germany in 1942. July. Anne Frank's family went into hiding in an attic apartment behind Otto Frank's business, located in Prinsengracht 263 in Assam. On June 6, 1942, in an effort to avoid detection, the family left a false trail suggesting that they have fled to Switzerland. A week after they had gone into hiding, the Franks were joined by Otto's business associate Hermann Wempels, along with his wife Auguste Wempels and their son Peter Wempels, who were also Jewish. A small group of Otto's employees included the Austrian-born secretary Nikis, who risked their own life to smuggle food, supplies, and news of the outside world into the secret apartment, whose entrance was situated behind a movable bookcase in November 1942. The Franks and Wempels were joined by Fritz Pfeffer, Gies, Jewish dentist. Life for 8 people in a small apartment, which Anne referred to as the secret annex, was tense. The group lived in constant fear of being discovered and could never go outside. They had to remain quiet during the daytime to avoid detection by other people working in the warehouse down below, and passed the time in part by chronicling her observations and feelings in a diary she had received for her 13th birthday, a month before the family went into hiding. Her morning looked something like this. At 6:45 am, the alarm of Mr. and Mrs. Wempels went off. Herman Wempels got up, put the kettle on and went to the bathroom. After 15 minutes, the bathroom was free again, and it was Fred's preferred turn, and got up and removed the blackout screens from the windows. The people in hiding took turns to use the bathroom. At 8:30 a.m., a risky half hour started. The men in the warehouse started their working day, while the office helpers had not arrived yet. Any noise from the people in the hiding was dangerous, as the warehouse was located below in the hiding place and the warehouse staff was unaware of the people hiding. At 9 a.m., the helpers started working in the office above the warehouse. The people in hiding walked around in socks and still had to be quiet, but sounds from above caused less suspicion. The rest of the morning was devoted to reading, studying, and preparing for their lunch break. Her afternoons looked like this. At 12:30 p.m., the warehouse workers went home for lunch, and the helpers and the people in the hiding had the place to themselves for a while. At 12:45 p.m., a few of the helpers, usually Jonas Kelman, Victor Kugler, and Beb Voskulji, came to the secret annex to have lunch. In the beginning, John Voskulji, Beb's father, often came up too, but he stopped after a few while as he had cancer. John Keyes, Meep's husband, frequently joined them as well, although he worked elsewhere. Meep Geese usually stayed in the office to keep an eye on things. For the people in hiding, it was nice to see other people and to hear the latest news from the city. At 1 p.m., the radio was switched on for BCC News. At 1:15 p.m., they had lunch, and at 1:45 p.m., the helpers went back to work. After the people in hiding had cleared everything away, most of them took an afternoon nap and used that time for studying or writing. Around 4 o'clock, they had coffee and then started on the preparations for dinner. At 5:30 p.m., the warehouse workers went home. Helper Beth usually came by to see the people if the people in hiding needed anything. After she had gone to home at 5:45, the people in hiding were no longer restricted to the secret annex and they spread out through the building. Her evenings and nights looked like this. Herman Wempels looked at the day's post. Peter Wempels fetched the bread that had been left for them in the office. Otto Frank wrote business letters on the typewriter. Margot and Anne did administer chores, and August Wempels and Edith Frank cooked dinner. After night dinner, they read, talked, or listened to the radio. Around 9 p.m., they started preparing for the night. Pieces of furniture had to be moved. For instance, the room of Herman and August Wempels. Just like in the morning, they took turns to use the bathroom. Every day, when the sun went down, the windows had to be blacked out. After that, the secret annex went quiet. The next morning, the alarm went off at 6:45 a.m. again, except on Sundays. A Sunday in the secret annex had a completely different rhythm to it and was characterized by scrubbing, sweeping, and washing. Anne wrote in her diary, Sunday. The people in hiding were slow to get going. The first one to get up was Fritz Prepper. At 8 a.m., he was the first to go to the bathroom. The Wempels family were next. One of Anne's audience was watching Fritz Prepper pray for 15 minutes. From 10:15 onwards, it was Frank family's turn. Breakfast did not start until 11:30 on Sundays. After 3/4 of an hour, Everyone went to work, scrubbing the carpets, doing the laundry, and making their bed. Life in labor camp. The family's arrest by Gestapo in August 1944. She kept a diary she had received as a birthday present and wrote in it regularly. Following in her arrest, the Franks were transported to concentration camps. On 1 November 1944, Anne and her sister Margot were transferred from Auschwitz to Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. I was so sorry, Anne. I didn't know because she thought that she was the last one of the family. And then you didn't make such a big effort if you know that there is no one left. Hanley Goslar recalled years later in an interview when describing her friend Anne Frank's death. Goslar and Frank both were imprisoned in Bergen-Belsen concentration camp during winter of 1944 to 45. The two girls were separated from one another, but they speak under the covers of darkness through a barbed fence. A weekend sick aunt had just told her that she had no one left. As far as she knew, both her parents had died in Auschwitz. Her sister was still with her, but she was too weak to even come to the fence to talk to the Goslar. The conditions of the camps were inhuman. There was no food and water, there was bugs everywhere, and the place was flooding with diseases. If someone dies there, their shoes and socks were took off. There was nothing but mud all over. And later, Anne and Margot were even separated from their parents. In the last camp, Anne only had a sister, Auguste Samples, Hanny Goslar, and her two friends whom she met in labor camp. Anne and Margot's death. For 70 years, Anne Frank was believed to have died of typhus in Bergen-Belsen just 2 weeks before Allied forces liberated Nazi death camp on April 15, 1945. On Tuesday, however, new research released by Anne Frank House in Amsterdam concludes that the 15-year-old Jewish diarist and her older sister Margot were most likely to die in February, not March 31. The Dutch government fixed that date at the end of the World War II, after Red Cross concluded Anne and her sister died sometime between March 1 and March 31. The researchers based their findings on eyewitness testimonies of survivors and the archives of Bergen-Belsen Memorial, Red Cross, and International Tracing Service. It is unlikely that they were still alive in March. The death must have occurred in February 1945. The Anne Frank House said. The exact date of their deaths remains unknown. One day, they simply weren't there anymore. One camp survivor who was friends with the girl told the researchers. Publishing of Anne Frank's diary. Anne Frank's diary was published by her father Otto Frank at the end of the World War II. He was freed from a Nazi concentration camp and come back to the annex or the secret attic rooms where his family hid for several years. Otto Frank edited and typed the manuscript from the diary himself. This is the documents. This is the legacy of your daughter Anne. Helper Meadgies told Otto Frank when he gave him Anne's diary documents. Otto had just learned that his daughters Margot and Anne had died of spotted typhus in Bergen-Belsen. At first, Otto could not bear to read Anne's text. I don't have the strength to read them, he told his mother on 22nd of August 1945. A month later, he had changed his mind and could not put them away. Otto decided to copy excerpts from his relatives in Basel and started working on a translation into German. There were not many books that are so well known and widely read as Anne Frank's diary, but this book was never meant to be read by other people, let alone published in many different languages around the world. Anne Frank's diary was published by her father, Otto Frank. At the end of the World War II, he was freed from a Nazi concentration camp to the annex or the secret attic rooms where his family hid for several years. His friends who helped the Frank family hide Nigis gave him the diary that Anne had left behind when the family was discovered. Anne, her sister, and her mother had all died in concentration camps after the families were found. Though Anne had never intended for her diary to be published, she did write in her diary that she planned to write a book about her experiences and had even rewritten passages of her diary to make them more fit for public consumption. Thank you for watching. Thank you everyone. I hope you like this video. Goodbye. Take care and have a very great day.